A month later, Amara woke to wetness and cramping at 3 in the morning. Taeyang, wake up. I think my water just broke. He was out of bed instantly, throwing on clothes, grabbing the hospital bag he'd kept packed and ready for weeks. Okay, we practiced this. Breathing. We need to breathe. Or is that later? Should we time contractions first? You're panicking. I'm not panicking. He was absolutely panicking, his hands shaking as he helped her change clothes. You're in labor. Our daughter is coming. Oh God, I'm going to be a father. Despite the pain building in her abdomen, Amara laughed. Yes, you are. Now can we please go to the hospital before I have this baby in the car? The drive was a blur of contractions and Taeyang's increasingly frantic reassurances, directed more at himself than her. Once at the hospital, he transformed into focused determination, refusing to leave her side, holding her hand through every contraction, whispering encouragement in Korean and English. Labor was long and brutal, 18 hours of pain and exhaustion, and questioning every decision that led to this moment. But every time Amara wanted to give up, Taeyang was there, his strength anchoring her, his love sustaining her, his voice reminding her she was strong enough. You can do this, he whispered during a particularly brutal contraction. You survived 7 months alone. You survived my mother's lies. You survived being kidnapped. You can survive this. You're the strongest person I know. When their daughter finally emerged at 9:43 in the morning, screaming indignantly at the bright lights and cold air, Taeyang wept openly. The nurses placed the baby on Amara's chest, and both parents stared in wonder at the tiny life they'd created. She's perfect, Taeyang breathed, his voice thick with emotion. Absolutely perfect. She has your eyes, Amara said, exhausted but elated, tracing her daughter's tiny features. Look at those eyes, she's going to be trouble. Their daughter, small, wrinkled, perfect, looked up at her parents with dark eyes that were definitely her father's. She had Amara's rich skin tone and Taeyang's delicate features, a perfect blend of both their heritages, a bridge between their worlds. What should we name her? Amara asked, cradling their daughter against her chest. Taeyang had researched extensively, as he did everything. Jisoo. It means wisdom and longevity in Korean. Grace for the middle name, for the grace that brought us back together. Jisoo Grace Kim, Amara repeated, looking down at their daughter. It's perfect. She's perfect. Taeyang sat on the edge of the bed, his arms around both his girls, his expression one of complete awe and overwhelming love. I can't believe she's real, that she's ours, that we made something this beautiful. Believe it. You're a father now. Amara smiled at him, seeing the wonder in his eyes. How does it feel? Terrifying. Amazing. Like my heart is walking around outside my body. He touched Jisoo's tiny hand, and she gripped his finger instinctively with surprising strength. I'm going to protect you both from everything. I promise you that. Nothing will ever hurt either of you again. The first weeks home were exhausting and beautiful and overwhelming. Taeyang threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he'd brought to everything else in his life. He woke for every feeding, learned to change diapers without complaint, paced the floors at 3 in the morning when Jisoo cried, sang to her in Korean when she wouldn't settle. Amara watched him transform from Mafia boss to devoted father, marveling at how natural he was with their daughter, gentle and patient in ways she'd never imagined, his large hands careful with Jisoo's tiny body, his voice soft as he told her stories and made promises about the world he'd build for her. You're spoiling her already, Amara said one night, watching him rock Jisoo at 3 in the morning while Amara should have been resting. She's 6 weeks old. She needs to be spoiled. She needs to know she's loved and wanted and the center of our universe. He kissed the baby's head tenderly. Besides, she has me completely wrapped around her finger, just like her mother. I don't have you wrapped around my finger. Yes, you do. You have since the moment we met. He smiled at her over their daughter's head. I was done for the second I saw you, and I've never recovered. Don't want to recover. The boutique was thriving even in Amara's absence. She'd hired excellent managers to handle day-to-day operations, and they video-called her with decisions and updates. She balanced new motherhood with her business dreams, proving she could be both mother and entrepreneur. Taeyang had made good on his promise. His operations were going legitimate. The violence had decreased dramatically as he transitioned to legal enterprises, real estate, technology, investments, international trade. He still had enemies, still needed security, but the daily danger was fading. Life was settling into something beautiful, something normal, or as normal as life could be for a former Mafia boss and his wife. 3 months after Jisoo's birth, Taeyang surprised Amara with a romantic dinner at home. Candles everywhere, her favorite food prepared by a private chef, soft music playing. Their daughter slept peacefully in a bassinet nearby, watched by security. Taeyang no longer pretended they didn't need. "What's this about?" Amara asked, beautiful in a dress he'd bought her post-pregnancy curves driving him crazy with desire and love. "This is about us, about our family, about celebrating everything we survived to get here." He took her hand across the table, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "We never had a proper courtship. I never got to date you, woo you, show you romance, show you how much you mean to me. You married me, got me pregnant, fought your whole family for me, literally went to war to save me." She smiled. "I think I know how much I mean to you. Still, I want to do this right." He stood, pulling a box from his pocket. Inside was a new ring, not replacing the ones he'd given her before, but complementing them. A stunning diamond surrounded by sapphires that matched her eyes. "Amara Jackson Kim, love of my life, mother of my child, salvation of my soul. Will you stay married to me? Will you keep choosing me even knowing all my flaws and darkness? Will you build this life with me? Raise our daughter together? Maybe give her siblings someday?" Tears streamed down her face. "That's not a traditional proposal. We're not a traditional couple. We never have been." He slipped the ring onto her finger, adding to the collection of promises already there. "But I love you more than I thought possible to love anyone, more than I knew how to love until you taught me. Say yes. Say you'll keep me." "Yes. Of course yes. Always yes." She pulled him into a kiss that tasted like promise and forever, and everything they'd survived. "I'll always choose you. In every lifetime, I'd choose you." Behind them, Jisoo made a small sound in her sleep, as if blessing their union, and they both laughed through their tears. A year later, they renewed their vows in a proper ceremony, not the forced marriage orchestrated by his mother's lies and manipulation, but a real wedding with real love and real commitment. They invited everyone who mattered, friends who'd supported them, business partners who'd become friends. Notably absent, Taeyang's mother. She'd tried to reconcile, to apologize, but Taeyang had been firm. Forgiveness would take time, if it came at all. Amara wore a dress she'd designed herself, elegant white lace that showcased her curves with traditional Nigerian patterns embroidered in gold thread, a fusion of both her worlds. Taeyang wore a traditional Korean hanbok in deep blue, looking regal and impossibly handsome, every inch the powerful man he was, with softness reserved only for his family. Jisoo, now 1-year-old, toddled between them during the ceremony in a matching hanbok, making everyone laugh when she tried to grab the rings and babbled loudly during the vows. The officiant smiled indulgently while Taeyang scooped up his daughter, holding her while he spoke his vows. "I was lost before you," he said, his voice thick with emotion, speaking to Amara while their daughter played with his collar. "Empty, violent, going through life without really living. You saw something in me worth saving. You gave me a reason to be better, to build something beyond destruction. I promise to spend every day of my life proving I'm worthy of your love. I promise to protect you, cherish you, choose you above everything else. You are my home, Amara, my peace, my everything." Amara's vows were equally emotional, her voice breaking as she spoke. "I was lost, abandoned, treated like I was worthless. You showed me I'm priceless. You gave me freedom within safety, love without conditions, strength when I had none left. I choose you, Taeyang. Not because I'm forced to, but because you're the best decision I've ever made. I promise to love you through every storm, to stand by you, to build a life with you that honors both our pasts and embraces our future. When they kissed, it tasted like new beginnings, like everything they'd overcome to reach this moment. Jisoo clapped her chubby hands between them, and the entire room erupted in laughter and applause. The reception was intimate and joyful. Close friends, trusted associates, Amara's mother who'd flown in from Lagos and wept through the entire ceremony. Laughter and music and joy filled the space, so different from the violence and fear that had marked their beginning. "Happy?" Taeyang murmured, dancing with her while his mother-in-law held a sleepy Jisoo. "Impossibly happy." She touched his face, marveling at how much had changed. "You gave me everything I didn't know I needed. You gave me a reason to live instead of just survive." He kissed her softly. "You are my redemption, Amara, my salvation, my home, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt it." 2 years after their reconciliation, Amara's boutique had expanded to 3 locations across Seoul. She'd become a respected name in Korean fashion, known for inclusive designs and ethical practices. Her success was her own, built on talent and vision, though Taeyang's support had certainly helped. Jisoo was a thriving toddler, speaking both Korean and English fluently, absolutely adored by her father, who spoiled her shamelessly despite Amara's protests. She had Taeyang's determination and Amara's creativity, already showing signs of the strong woman she'd become. Taeyang had successfully transitioned his empire to completely legitimate business. The transformation had taken longer than expected, but he'd done it. Real estate development, technology investments, import-export companies, all legal, all successful, all clean. The violence of his past had faded into memory, replaced by boardrooms and business deals. But the protective intensity never faded. He still had security follow Amara and Jisoo everywhere, still made sure they wanted for nothing, still looked at his wife like she was the only woman in existence. One evening, after putting Jisoo to bed, they sat on their balcony overlooking Seoul. The city glittered beneath them, full of possibility and promise. Amara leaned against his shoulder, content in a way she'd never imagined possible. "I've been thinking," she said carefully. "Dangerous." But he smiled, pulling her closer. "Jisoo needs a sibling. She's getting lonely, and I think—" She turned to watch his face. "I'm pregnant. 10 weeks. He went very still, then pulled her onto his lap with careful excitement. "When did you find out?" "Last week. I wanted to be sure before I told you, wanted to wait until we were alone." She watched his face transform. "Are you happy?" "Happy doesn't begin to cover it." His hand found her still flat belly with reverent wonder. "Another baby. Another chance to do everything right from the beginning. To be there for every moment." His eyes grew suspiciously bright. "You've given me everything, Amara. Absolutely everything. You gave me just as much. You saved me when I thought I was worthless. You loved me when I thought I was unlovable. You built me a life I didn't dare dream of. We built it together." He kissed her softly, tasting like promise and forever. "And we'll keep building, our family, our future, our forever. However many children you'll give me, whatever dreams you want to chase, wherever life takes us, we'll do it together." 9 months later, Amara gave birth to their son at sunrise. The labor was easier this time, faster, and Taeyang was calmer, though no less emotional when their son emerged screaming healthily. "A boy?" the doctor announced with a smile. "Healthy and strong. Good lungs on this one." Taeyang stared at his son with the same wonder he'd shown with Jisoo, tears streaming down his face unashamedly. The baby had Amara's eyes and fuller features, Taeyang's bone structure, another perfect blend of their love. They named him Daniel Minji Kim. Daniel for God is my judge, Minji meaning brightness and wisdom in Korean, a name that honored both their cultures, both their worlds. When they brought him home, 3-year-old Jisoo was fascinated and slightly jealous of her baby brother. She touched him with exaggerated gentleness, copying her father's carefulness, already protective despite her initial skepticism. "Baby," she said in Korean, then English, poking his tiny hand carefully. "My baby brother." "Our baby," Taeyang corrected gently, sitting on the floor with both children. "You're the big sister now. That's an important job. You have to help protect him, teach him things, show him how to be strong like you." Jisoo nodded seriously, her face scrunched in concentration, already taking her role seriously. "I protect baby, like you protect mommy." Taeyang's eyes met Amara's over their children's heads, and the love there took her breath away even after all this time. That night, with both children finally asleep, they collapsed into bed, exhausted but content. "2 kids," Amara murmured. "We have 2 kids. When did we become responsible adults? I'm not sure we did. We're just really good at pretending." He pulled her close, mindful of her still healing body. "But seriously, thank you, for our family, for giving me a life worth living. Thank you for finding me again, for not giving up, for loving me enough to fight for us." They held each other in the darkness, 2 people who'd been broken and forced apart, who'd built something beautiful from the ashes of manipulation and lies. 5 years after Taeyang walked into that restaurant and found his pregnant ex-wife serving tables, they celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary, counting from their original forced ceremony because, as Taeyang said, every moment counted, even the painful ones. Their penthouse was full of controlled chaos and constant joy. Jisoo, now 8, was already taking design classes after school, following in her mother's footsteps. Daniel, now 5, was quiet and observant, already showing signs of his father's strategic mind. And their youngest, 3-year-old Maya, was pure energy and determination, keeping everyone on their toes. "3 kids," Amara said, watching Taeyang referee a pillow fight while trying to answer work emails. "We have 3 kids. How did that happen?" "You're very beautiful, and I have no self-control around you," he called back, ducking a flying pillow. "Also, we're apparently very fertile as a couple." She laughed, the sound filling their home with warmth. The boutique had expanded internationally, locations in New York, London, Lagos. Taeyang's business empire was thriving, completely legitimate. They'd built something remarkable together. "Do you ever regret it?" Taeyang asked later that night after the children were finally asleep. "If you could go back and avoid all the pain, the forced marriage, the lies, the separation, the fear, would you?" Amara considered it seriously. The manipulation by his mother, the divorce based on lies, the 7 months alone and pregnant, working herself to exhaustion, the kidnapping that still sometimes haunted her dreams, all the struggle and pain and fear. "No," she said finally, definitely, "because all of it led here. To us, to our family, to this life. I'd walk through fire to get to this moment. So would I." He pulled her closer on their balcony, overlooking the city that had witnessed their entire story. "You're my miracle, Amara. The impossible thing that saved me from becoming a monster completely. And you're mine, my dangerous man who turned out to be my fairy tale." She kissed him as Seoul sparkled beyond their windows. "My forever." They stood together as the city lights twinkled below, 2 people who'd been broken and forced together by lies, who'd found a love that conquered everything thrown at them, from enemies to strangers to lovers to enemies again to soulmates. Their journey had been anything but simple. But it had been theirs, and it had been worth every painful step. 10 years later, Taeyang and Amara stood in their boutique's flagship store, now a fashion empire spanning multiple countries. Photos lined the walls of their journey, Amara pregnant in her server uniform, their vow renewal, their children's births, family moments captured throughout the years. Tonight was special, an anniversary celebration and boutique expansion announcement. Their 3 children played nearby under the watchful eyes of security that would always be necessary given their father's past. "Can you believe it's been 20 years?" Amara asked, staring at that first photo. The one Taeyang's security had taken of her in the restaurant uniform the night everything changed. "Best 20 years of my life, even counting the terrible beginning." Taeyang wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, his chin on her shoulder. "You made me a better man. Made me want to be better. You made me believe I deserved better, that I was worth fighting for." She turned in his arms, seeing the love that had only deepened with time. "We saved each other." "We did." He kissed her softly. "And we'll keep saving each other every day. That's what family does." Their children burst into the boutique then, Jisoo elegant at 18, now studying fashion design in Paris. Daniel thoughtful at 15, already showing interest in his father's business empire. Maya energetic at 13, a whirlwind of creativity and determination, full of life and demands for dinner. Taeyang pulled them all close while Amara smiled, her heart full, and they headed out into Seoul's night as a family. They were no longer the people someone had manipulated into separation. They were no longer the desperate souls searching for each other in the darkness. They were whole. They were healed. They were home. And it had all started in a restaurant with a pregnant ex-wife serving tables and a mafia boss who'd never stopped loving her. Their story had begun with pain and manipulation and forced separation, but it ended with forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Afro-Korean love stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What was your favorite moment? And remember, true love is worth fighting for, no matter the obstacles. See you in the next one, fam.